There's so many rumors or stories you'll hear about persons and their green card. You hear people talking about even citizens are probably not safe right now under the Trump administration. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Think Nursing channel, where it's all about nursing, travel, and lifestyle. If you're new here, my name is Stacy, and as usual, I'm just here finishing up some notes, and then I'll be heading home. But I just want to talk a little bit about, my recent trip to Jamaica. Jamaica is home, and I came here to the US as an immigrant and working as a nurse. How I ended up in the US was through a recruiting company, and that recruiting company did assisted with, almost all of the paperwork. And so I was able to get my green card and my citizenship later on. But, the process of getting here for me as a nurse, I had to, have a bachelor's degree or a degree itself. Then I did my boards exam for nursing, did the proper application or paperwork, and then got a job. And here I am, still working here in the US. So when this immigration crackdown started, a lot of persons were concerned about whether or not they're going to be losing their immigration, not their immigration, but their green card status. And some were asking me if I'm concerned. They were asking me from at that time, when Trump was, inaugurated, they were asking, are you scared? Don't you think you're going to be sent back home? And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because then a lot of persons will be sent home if that was the case. And so, I was at the time a little bit hesitant about whether or not I would travel, because I don't want it to be a case where I left the country, and if it's a case where I left by myself and my family is here, then I won't be able to see them, or then there is going to be some form of technicalities or difficulties with, getting paperwork or getting back into the US here. So I was a little bit hesitant, but then I decided that I was going to take an emergency trip back to Jamaica to deal with a few things. And so I'm going to tell you how that went. If you haven't subscribed as yet, though, I would love for you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. All right, so I took a 5-day trip to Jamaica and everything was good. It was perfect. Jamaica is home, and wherever home is for you, I'm sure whenever you touch down there, you're going to feel like, you just don't want to come back. If it is the weather, if it is the food, if it is the people, there is something that, you definitely enjoy about your country. And even though, yes, you had picked up yourself years ago, months ago, and decided that you're going to come to America and live the American dream, there is always a part of you that is still longing to go back home. And whenever you get that opportunity to do so, I'm sure that is the place you choose to go whenever you can. And so it's no different for me. So I decided I'm going to go down. And when I went down, the process was pretty good. I'm going to tell you about my experience with, flying on Spirit and with the Norman Manley International Airport in Jamaica. So when I booked my ticket for Spirit, it was very cheap. It was very cheap. This is the second time I've been using Spirit Airlines to do last minute travel. And despite, having the connections, I don't really like connections, but even though there were connections, everything was fine with it. I would say I would give them a 10 out of 10 because the pilots, the pilots, them know how to touch down. The pilots know how to touch down. And other pilots for other airline, are pretty good. And this is not an advertisement for Spirit Airline. I'm just saying, it was so smooth. From Texas to Florida, it was smooth, touching down. Me never feel no whole bumpy nothing on the road. You understand? It feels nice when I was touching down. And then from Florida to Jamaica, it was the same thing. The flight was smooth. Yes, you have a little turbulence that affects all airlines, but I'm just saying the touchdown was just so smooth. It was so easy, and I enjoyed the entire flight. All right, so I'm going to give a thumbs up to Spirit Airlines, regardless of the things I hear about you losing people packages and them bag. Yeah, man, I'm going to give you a 10 out of 10 for the 2 times that I've flown with you, or the 2 times that I fly with you guys. I'm going to give you a 10 out of 10 in terms of my rating. Anyways, when I landed in Jamaica, it was always a beauty. It is such a beauty going to Jamaica. The sunlight and everything, the place just looked bright and it just welcomed you home. But the one thing that I was impressed with was with the Norman Manley International Airport, the process of going through immigration. So it is advised that you go ahead and fill out a C5 immigration form online whenever you're traveling to Jamaica. This form eliminates that paperwork that you normally have to sit down on the airline and fill out, saying that, oh, you walk in with this, you walk in with that, and put all your family members' information on it. When you do this paperwork online, it still captures all of that and you get a confirmation. So the C5 form, the C5 immigration form, you have to enter it for every single person that is traveling with you. Even if the person is just 1 day old, you still need to fill out the form for them. All right. And once you fill out that form, you're going to get a confirmation of the information that you put in. After you do that and you reach into Jamaica, the process is so smooth. There is somebody that is going to greet you to find out if you fill out that form. If you did fill out the form already, the C5 immigration form, you'll be directed to the kiosk. If you haven't filled out it, now you're going to have to find your time and go ahead and fill it out. So I would just advise persons, once you purchase your ticket and it's close to the time of you traveling, just go ahead and fill out the form, because it's going to make your life a little bit easier, especially if you can do it on a computer. It's going to be easier for you rather than being at the airport and then filling out the form on your phone, especially if a 6 hour or 10 hour travel the same family. No, sir, you don't want to be there, doing all of that, especially if you have a little ride that is waiting on you. And sometimes, Jamaican people, they're miserable. Them, they love wait upon people. So definitely go ahead and fill out your paperwork, or you fill out that form online, so that way you don't have to be in this rush when you get to Jamaica and you're supposed to go through immigration. Whenever you fill out that form, you're going to be going over to the kiosk. And when you go over to the kiosk, it's going to be an area that you put down your passport, and it scans your passport. It's going to take your picture, so make sure you're looking cute and dandy. Yeah, man. But we know a lot of us are looking very decent when you're traveling. So, you don't have to be worried about the picture that will be taken. But yeah, you'll get a picture taken at that time at the kiosk after you scan your information, and then you'll have to just go through and confirm all of the information that you had recently put into the C5 immigration form. And that's information, just basic information, like where you'll be staying, who is traveling with you, do you have any extra luggage, all of those things, you'll input on the application or the paperwork for the C5 immigration, and it is the same thing that is going to populate on the kiosk at the time. Then you'll just confirm it. Once you confirm it, then you get a printed paper and you will go down towards the immigration officers. But when you do that, you're not talking to an immigration officer, you're not talking to any immigration officer. The immigration officers are there. It's like, say for example, there's some technicalities with, the system. Then probably they have to do some manual, assistance with you guys. But I never really talked to anybody. When I walk up close to where the immigration officers are, there is a little gate. Yes, there's a little gate, and there is also another camera. So that's why I'm telling you, so you need to look good when you're going to Jamaica, because you're going to get the pictures taken. Yeah, so there's a little camera, and there is a little gate. So once you look into that camera, at the time, it takes your picture and then it confirms you. You'll see a green tick to say that, yes, you're good to go. And then you open the little gate and then you're out. You don't have any interaction with any immigration officer. You don't have anybody telling you, welcome home. Yeah, me miss the part, I miss that part where they normally say, welcome home, because I see that you have a Jamaican passport, that you're yardy. But nobody is there to welcome you home. But, the process is easy. There is no long line or anything. You scan, as long as the information is good, you just scan and you're gone through. You're gone through the gates. After you go through immigration, then you'll go to the carousel, collect your luggages, and then you'll go up to the section where you declare all of your luggages. And once you do that, it's pretty easy. You're done. You're done with the entire immigration process in Jamaica. And so, as I say, I was just so impressed with the Norman Manley International Airport. It was so clean. Not to mention the bathrooms. Yeah, the bathrooms were looking clean. It smelled good. But the only problem is that we have a tendency to go to the bathroom and not flush it. Yeah, man, we don't really reach the point where all the toilets have auto. Yeah, man, I don't think so, because they would have already been flushed. But everybody decided to go to the bathroom and pee and not flush the toilet. But otherwise, I tell you, it was lovely. It was lovely. It was smelling clean and everything was good. So I'm going to give them 9 out of 10 for their bathroom because of, you know, what had happened. Not saying that, you know, every time you go to the bathroom, it's going to be super clean all the time, you know, but I'm just thinking that with all of them being dirty at the time, yeah, can't give it 10 out of 10. Can't give it 10 out of 10 for that one. But it was lovely. The experience there was lovely. I don't think, you know, Montego Bay, I don't think Montego Bay is at that stage right now where you go through and you scan through and you don't talk to anybody. Unless over the last year or so, you know, things have improved. But the last time I traveled through Montego Bay, it was, you know, you going through, you know, get your information at the kiosk and then you go through to speak with the immigration officer, and that was it. So the process was a little bit lengthy in Montego Bay. But I know they were doing a lot of repairs down there, you know, road repair, everything repair down there. So let's just hope that, you know, the kiosk and everything is pretty good down there as well. And you don't have to be doing all of this, you know, interaction with immigration officers. Not saying that interaction is not good, but, you know, sometimes you're just in a rush and you want to go about to business. You just want to go ahead and scan and go. You understand? They don't want to be in any, you know, long line talking with anybody or anything like that. But it was pretty good. All right. So anyways, I did spend, you know, the little time in Jamaica, and then, you know, that bittersweet moment when you have to leave. Yeah, you want to leave, you have to leave now because you still have work to come back to. So that was the case for me. So I came back up on Spirit, and as I said, the flight was pretty good, except that, you know, the little turbulence at the end of the flight, but it was pretty good. So after arriving in Fort Lauderdale, you know, yeah, there was a little bit of anxiety because I'm like, okay, then are they gonna send me back to Jamaica, or are they gonna have me in a room for hours questioning me about my status here in the US? There's so many rumors or stories you'll hear about persons and their green card. You hear people talking about even citizens are probably not safe right now under the Trump administration. And so, you know, I don't know anybody that has traveled recently since all of this, and I was like, oh my word, okay, am I gonna be going back home to Texas, or am I gonna go back home to Jamaica? So while I was there, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be sent home. Like, you know, I've been working for all these years, all my paperwork is fine, you know, I haven't, you know, had any misdemeanors, you know, any felonies or anything like that. I don't see why I should be scared. So anyways, I was in the line, and the lady was there, you know, at the side. She was like, is that all you're traveling with, ma'am? And I'm like, yeah. Anyways, it was my time now to go up to the immigration officer. When I went up there, you know, handed my paperwork and everything, the immigration officer asked, so where are you traveling from? And they said, oh, I'm traveling from Jamaica. And he says, where is home? If Florida is home. And I'm like, no, Texas is home. And then he's like, what's the reason for you traveling to Jamaica? And I'm like, oh, he just went and visited friends and family. And he was like, okay, is that all? And I'm like, yes. And then he asks, are you traveling back with anything? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, no problem. Here are your paperwork. Enter through, you know, to the left. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And then, yes, I had a little bit of a sigh of relief because I'm like, whew, at least I don't have to think about, you know, any long discussion with anybody. Because, as I say, a lot of persons are concerned that even citizens are going to be in a situation where there's a possibility that they're not allowed back in the country. So my experience was pretty okay. You know, I don't know what the experience with other persons are going to be like, you know. So if you know that your paperwork is good, I don't think you should be worried. I think the ones that should be worried are you have your green card and you got involved with the law, meaning you have the misdemeanors, felonies, crimes, all of those things added to your green card or your status here while you're on a green card. You know, so if you have any of those on your status here, then those are some of the red flags that are gonna cause your green card status to be questioned. You know, so I would just encourage persons, if you have been on your best behavior, you know, then I think you should be all set to travel. If you know that you came in and you have you know, the proper documentation to prove how you got your status here. So for persons who have gotten their green card through different means, you know, you probably never came through the correct means to the US here, and you eventually probably marry somebody, you know, and you got your green card status and you've been working and doing well, you know, I think for those persons, I would be a little bit concerned, only because, you know, you don't want to be a case where you travel and then when you're coming back in, they're like, oh, but we never see a stamp to say that you arrived legally. And then they decide to, you know, revoke your green card status here in the US and send you back home. So for persons like those, I would say be careful. But if you came through the proper channel, you know, you did your license, or, you know, you got your filing through family members or whatever means you did it, and you actually got a stamp to say that you came into the country legally, and then you did all the paperwork, you know, to get your green card, then I would say it should be fine to travel. But either way, consult your immigration specialist regarding this, because I'm not a immigration specialist, you understand? I'm just talking from my experience, what I encounter during the little time that I went down and then returned to the US here. But for majority of the persons I'm thinking out there that have, you know, legal status, you're a citizen, and your paperwork is fine, I think you should be all set to travel and not be worried about anything. For persons with green cards, if you know definitely that, you know, you did something, you were involved in some, you know, unlawful activities and all, then I would just say put a question mark beside whether or not you definitely need to travel, or you can stay here, you know, for the time that you're here, while, you know, things kind of get a little bit smooth. But until then, you know, just let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the entire thing, traveling with Spirit Airlines, you know, your experience with the airport in Jamaica, and then my experience here, or your experience traveling back and forth, you know, to the US on your green card or your US citizenship. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and remember to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment. Most importantly, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Subscribe. All right, until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.